Hello guys, and welcome back to the full guide covering this new character mod by Exotek. I'll link his channel down below along with a link to the trailer he made for the character. I'll also link my official first look at the character, which was just background on him. The thumbnail art is once again from James Taylor. Link to all his socials will be down below. So with that, let's get right into it. Alright, so as always, this mod is only available for PC players because if you mod on consoles, it does go against the terms of service. The way the mod works in Borderlands is that they take an existing character archetype basically and then modify it for these new characters, just because modding is very limited in Borderlands, the entire series in general. So for this new character Strife, his character is from the Zero model. So a few of the skills are the same, but Exotek really went all out in changing as much as he could. Also, if you want to download this, just drag it into your Borderlands 2 binaries folder. It would be in the same spot that the community patch is in. Then just make sure you name it something easy and your console key is active. And once you start Borderlands 2, press your console key and then execute whatever you named it. So I named my file character. So when I go into Borderlands 2, I put execute character.txt. It's really easy. It changes Zero from his normal character to Strife. So all that's taken care of. And finally, Exotek did create a whole backstory for the character, which I broke down as I said before in the last video. So if you want to hear more or check that out, go back there. So with that, let's finally get into breaking down the character. So his main skill is called Infiltrate. It says press F to activate your suit and cloak for a few seconds. The longer you are cloaked, the more damage your next shot deals, but ending cloak sooner results useless energy usage and shorter cooldown. In addition, upon Infiltrate activation, you restore 50% of your max health. The cooldown is 20 seconds and gun damage is up to 500%. Now let's move to the Infiltrate skill tree. The first skill is Deterrence, which says while your shield is depleted, all damage you take is reduced, and each point you put into this increases damage reduction by 4%. The next skill is Tension. While you move, enemies fear your unpredictable motions, reducing their accuracy, which reduces enemy weapon accuracy by 20% per point. The next skill is Momentum. While your shield is depleted, you gain increased movement speed and jump height. It increases your movement speed by 6% per point and jump height by 3% per point. Next skill is Bionic Implant, which says while Infiltrate is active, you are able to see enemy crit locations. In addition, it increases your zoom with all gun types. It also highlights enemy crit spots while Infiltrate is active and increases the zoom by 20%. Then we move to Cyclone Lash. While moving, you have a chance to deflect bullets against enemies. Deflected bullets deal reduced damage to you and increased damage against enemies. The deflection chance is 5% per point, damage reduction is 10% per point, and deflect bullet damage is 20% per point. The next skill is Auger Round. While Infiltrate is active, your revealing shot gained increased gun damage and ignore shield chance. The gun damage is increased by 20% per point and ignore shield chance is 20% per point as well. Then is Waylay. It increases damage dealt when attacking from behind or when attacking an enemy who is targeting someone other than you. Waylay damage is 4% per point. Then is Invigorate. While Invigorate is active, you gain shield and ammo regeneration. It regenerates 0.4% max shield per second and 0.5% ammo per second for each point. Then is Demoralized. It's a kill skill. Killing an enemy demoralizes other nearby enemies, making them deal reduced damage for a few seconds, which decreased enemy gun damage by 25% and enemy melee damage by 25% as well. Another 1-point skill is Auxiliary Systems. Upon Infiltrate activation, you lose the provided health restoration, but you restore your shield instead. It restores 100% of your shield. And finally, the capstone of this skill tree is Energy Conversion. When taking damage, your suit has a 25% chance to absorb kinetic energy from enemy bullets and melee attacks and convert it into energy for your suit. It also adds extra 20% cooldown rate. So overall, that's the first skill tree, the Infiltration. Now let's move to the middle skill tree called Aptitude. First is Sustained Fire. It's a kill skill. Killing an enemy increases fire rate and reload speed for a few seconds. Fire rate is increased by 5% per point and reload speed is 5% as well. Next is Elimination Protocol. Scoring a critical hit with any gun increases your critical hit damage. This effect can stack and each stack lasts 10 seconds. Each stack gives 5% critical hit damage. Then is Sidearm Tactics. It increases damage and reload speed for pistols and SMGs. Damage and reload speed is increased by 3% per point. Focused Aim is next. It increases weapon accuracy and recoil reduction. Weapon accuracy and recoil reduction are both increased by 8% per point. Then Heavy Ordnance. It increases damage and fire rate for sniper rifles and shotguns. Damage and fire rate are both increased by 3% per point. The mid skill is Retargeting Protocols. Manually reloading your gun activates Retargeting Protocols. While active, you gain increased gun damage and critical hit damage. Gun damage and critical hit damage are increased by 20%. Next to that is Haste. It increases weapon swap speed and weapon aim speed, and it increases both of those by 10% per point. Below that is Redirection. You use some of your suit's energy to boost damage of your Amplify shields. So Amplify shields damage is increased by 10% per point, and the cooldown rate is minus 2% per point. Next is Indoctrination. Increases the capability of Hyperion's weaponry. It increases gun damage, weapon accuracy, fire rate, reload speed, and magazine size by 2% per point. And finally, the capstone is Kinetic Transfer. You use some of your suit's energy to increase bullet speed of your guns, making them pierce through enemies. If your shot hits an enemy after piercing another enemy, it deals massively increased damage. Kinetic Transfer does not work with rockets and some special projectiles. Bullet speed is increased by 100%, and each additional target hit takes an additional 100% extra damage, and the cooldown rate of your skill is reduced by 10%. And the final skill tree is called Inquiry. The first skill is Repellent. It reduces the duration of enemy elemental status effects on your character. Status effect duration is reduced by 10% per point. Next is Lacerate. Massively increased melee damage against enemies with low health. It increases your melee damage by 120% per point. Then is Atonement. You sacrifice your max health in exchange for increased melee damage. Max health is decreased by 5% per point, and melee damage is increased by 5% per point. After that is Vampire Leech. Shooting an enemy puts a mark on them for a short duration. You and your allies will steal health from any marked enemies for a short duration of the mark. Lifesteal is 1% per point, and the mark lasts for 5 seconds. Next is Virulent Agents. It's a kill skill. Killing an enemy makes newly applied status effects have an increased duration for a few seconds. Corrode damage is plus 10%, while burn, electrocute, and slag duration are all increased by 8% per point. One below that is Corrosive Bite. It increases all corrosive and corrode damage that you will inflict. Corrosive damage is plus 3% per point, and corrode damage is plus 6% per point. Next to that is Fatal Stance. It's a kill skill. Killing an enemy increases your melee damage and melee damage reduction for a few seconds. Melee damage is plus 4% per point, while melee damage reduction is also plus 4%. After that is Reversal Shift. After striking an enemy, you activate Reversal Shift, increasing your elemental damage for 3 seconds, which adds 4% elemental damage per point. Then is Boiling Point. Shooting an enemy with an elemental weapon grants a stacking bonus to damage and chance of your elemental status effects. This bonus can stack up to 5 times. Elemental damage and chance is increased by 4% per point. Next to that is our melee override called Deceiving Blow. While Infiltrate is active and the target is under your crosshairs, press R to dash forward a short distance and perform a special melee strike, dealing slag damage. In addition, it has a 100% chance to slag your target. And finally, there is the capstone of this skill tree called Tainted Strike. It's an action skill augmentation. You press the left bumper while Infiltrate is active to throw a handful of corrosive kunai. Kunai benefit from all your elemental damage bonuses, and throwing kunai does not end Infiltrate. And you may throw 5 kunai per cooldown. So those were all the skills. I want to quickly mention that there is a new custom quest added for the character I haven't got there, really just didn't have enough time to get there really with it. But I'm going to break down what Exotek said about it in his release. So the mission is called Reconciliation. It's an amped up version of the Defend the Slab Tower mission. And this is where you get your unique gun that you lost when the train crashed at the beginning of the game and Jack stole it. And now you want it back. It rewards you with an exclusive weapon called the Nox. It's a Hyperion Corrosive SMG, and it has a special effect for the Infiltrator, which increases efficiency of energy conversion by 100%. So it's really cool. Not only did he just make a custom mission, he also gave us a custom weapon in-game. You don't have to download or add anything else. It's already in the text files for the character. It's really nice. It's really thought out, and it makes our character so good. So I'm not at full level yet, but I could see it as being top tier for the character. He added new class mods for the characters, including legendary ones, and they will reflect the updated skill names, so you just don't have to look at Zero's old class mods. They'll be all new ones. His melee damage does deal corrosive damage, and it even inflicts the status effects, so it's just building up the corrosive of the character. And at the very beginning, you get a text-based echo log for his new character. So once again, just more world building and trying to make it feel as real as possible as another DLC character would be for the game. So Exotek put in so much work and effort to make this character, especially with limited scope and modability in Borderlands 2. So what he was able to create is amazing and has never been done before. Be sure to go check him out, watch his trailer, give the like, subscribe to his channel. I hope you guys check out this mod and have fun playing with this new character in Borderlands 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.